In the 1940s, Route 66 was America's dream road, a scenic 2,400-mile route that took you from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles, passing through 8 states and promising adventure at every stop. Along the way, there were quirky roadside attractions, retro motels, diners with the best coffee and burgers. It was the mother road where families would pile into their jalopies and follow the painted arrows that symbolized freedom, happiness, and a better life somewhere west. But by the 1970s, Route 66 became a highway to hell, and I'm going to tell you about the strange events that turned this iconic roadway into one of America's most cursed places. It all started back in 1958 when mysterious deaths began to plague Route 66. For years, drivers would vanish without a trace, never to be seen again. Then, other motorists were found dead, lying on the pavement, mangled beyond recognition. At first, the newspapers called it the Bloody Road Killer and blamed a lone madman. But he soon realized that something more sinister was haunting this highway. In today's video, I'll reveal the terrifying truth behind these gruesome slayings and share 2 exclusive theories, one logical and one fantasy. Let me know in the comments which one you think is true. The story begins in the town of Glen Rio, Texas, population 4,000. That was in 1958. Today, it's home to an RV park and a bunch of tumbleweeds. Back then, it was a typical small town with a high school, a movie theater, a bowling alley, and plenty of oil field workers looking for a good time. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and the biggest news was when Deputy Dan Burge got drunk and crashed his patrol car into a ditch. But on February 1st, everything changed. A local waitress named Sandra Leah Haygood left work at the Cozy Dog restaurant, got into her Chevy, and drove off to see her boyfriend, Army Airfield Operations Specialist James De La Cruz. She was only 17 years old, but her mother wasn't worried because Jimmy was a nice boy from a good family. Plus, they were only dating for 2 months. Any responsible young man would take his girlfriend straight home. But Sandra never made it. Her car was found abandoned at the side of Route 66 near Glen Rio. Doors wide open, windows smashed, belongings tossed out on the ground, motor still running. Search parties combed the area for days, but there was no sign of Sandra anywhere. And within hours, the FBI joined the investigation. By now, people were beginning to notice a disturbing pattern. Earlier that month, a truck driver had reported seeing a broken-down vehicle on the same stretch of highway and 2 men standing around it. One of them was tall and muscular. The other was short and skinny. And then there was the case of a drifter named John Alva Clayton. He told the police he was hitchhiking along Route 66 when he was picked up by a stranger who offered him a ride in his pickup truck. Clayton got in, but midway down the highway, the driver stopped, opened the passenger door, and shoved Clayton out. He survived the fall, but his jaw was shattered, his body covered in bruises and cuts. When officers asked him what happened, Clayton replied, "I don't know, officer. I was just trying to get to California." He was taken to the hospital but refused to say anything else. As he lay dying, he mumbled something about, quote, "those damn hillbillies," before slipping into a coma and ultimately dying. Everyone in town was terrified. Rumors spread like wildfire and the FBI grew increasingly alarmed. They created a task force and put together a list of every missing person and unsolved murder that had occurred along Route 66 during the past 5 years. To their shock, there were dozens of cases, and all the evidence pointed to a terrifying possibility. This stretch of highway was a killing ground. On March the 17th, a local couple driving home from a party saw a group of men dragging someone off the road into a wooded area. They sped away, but not before seeing the victim's face. It was Sandra. Her body was buried in a shallow grave, her clothes torn and scattered nearby. The press went wild. Newspapers across the country ran the headline, "Route 66, Horror as Teenager Found Mutilated," describing how locals were so disgusted by the brutality of the crime that no one would come forward and identify the body. The FBI launched a massive manhunt, but there were 0 leads, and eventually the case went cold. But here's where things get really weird. You see, ever since the 1930s, travelers along Route 66 had been reporting strange phenomena. Some said the road was haunted, plagued by the ghosts of Native Americans who died in massacres or were run over by cars. Others believed that certain sections of the road were war zones between bikers and rival gangs. Then you have stories of phantom roadkill, shadowy figures standing on the side of the road, and even mysterious lights descending from the sky, abducting unsuspecting drivers. But it wasn't until the 1950s that the road earned its reputation as a killer. And I believe this all started when construction crews resurfaced the asphalt. Crews accidentally unearthed an ancient burial ground belonging to the Pueblo people. Legend says that when this sacred ground was disturbed, the spirits of the dead were released and the killings began. Now, if that sounds far-fetched, consider this. In 2011, a viral video surfaced showing a glowing orb flying above the highway. Many believed this footage was captured by a UFO. So what's the truth? Did supernatural forces turn Route 66 into a killing ground, or was there something more sinister at play? To find out, let's explore two theories, one logical and one fantasy. Theory number 1: greed-driven landslides. Let's start with the logical explanation. Criminals have always sought easy money, and what's easier than robbing a stranded motorist? According to the FBI, many crimes committed along Route 66 were part of a series of similar incidents that spanned several states. There were reports of drivers being lured off the road by fake road signs or diversions, only to be robbed and beaten by men with tire irons. They also received hundreds of calls from people whose relatives disappeared while traveling west, only to surface weeks later in another town begging for money on the streets. Investigators believed that criminal gangs working with corrupt law enforcement officials staged accidents, then robbed the victims. Or, in some cases, they simply pushed cars off the road and robbed the occupants. Others were lured away under false pretenses and never seen again. And while there's no evidence to support this theory, some believe that whenever a new roadside attraction was built, shady business owners would sabotage competing establishments to force them to close and make room for a drive-in theater gas station or diner. Theory number 2: a portal to hell. Let's move on to the fantasy theory, shall we? Locals say that Route 66 is a portal to hell. At night, demons enter the bodies of sleeping motorists and lead them to their doom. To prove this, all you need to do is watch the viral videos showing bizarre lights dancing on the highway. It's almost as if the road itself is breathing. Some say the reason this portal exists is because of all those Native American graves that were destroyed when Route 66 was constructed. By disturbing the dead, greedy construction companies opened the gates to hell and unleashed evil upon the world. Others believe that Route 66 was purposely built to serve as a gateway to hell, allowing demons to freely roam the earth and claim human souls. Now, I can't imagine why the government would want to do something like that, but hey, it's a theory. Was it human evil or supernatural? You decide. Comment your theory below. The top answer gets a deep dive video. One last thing. When filming this episode, I came across some pretty messed up stuff, including the personal details of real victims and their families. Nothing I can share here, but if you tune in next week, I'll reveal the truth. And now it's time for one final clip. This is a car's headlights fading into the darkness on an abandoned section of Route 66. What do you see? Is someone watching me? Whatever it is, it doesn't seem friendly. I can feel its eyes boring into my skull. Oh God, I better go. Wait, where am I going? Why did I leave the highway? I should keep driving. Maybe I can outrun whatever's chasing me. But I'm so tired. I just want to rest. 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 Thank you for watching. See you next week.